What did you say now?
And so anyways, he's got me all backwards for the last 20, 30 years.
All right, it's 4:30. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the July 24th meeting of the City of Prattville's Historic Preservation Commission. Madam Secretary, can you call the roll for us? Here.
Here.
Present.
Ms. Fritz? Mr. McKay? Here. Ms. Rawlins?
Here.
Mr. Leach?
Here.
All right. Thank you. We have a quorum. I understand Ms. Fritz is en route. If she didn't have plane delays, she's not. She contacted you. All right. Thank you. And I wanted to, in particular, welcome Mr. Leach, Scott Leach, who is a new member of the commission. Ms. Irvin, unfortunately, she had been here for just a handful of months, and she moved outside the corporate limits of the city, so she had to resign. She regretted that. I thought she was doing a great job. I also think that we've got a great candidate who, thank you for your willingness to serve, who is going to fill that position. And I would ask you, Mr. Leach, if you could just give us just a few sentences about your life and your interest.
Sure, absolutely. My wife and I moved to Prattville. We had met in Montgomery, but we moved to Prattville in '85 and raised our family here. We loved Prattville. She was involved in worked at the high school for a number of years, worked with child nutrition at the Board of Education for a number of years. I worked with a company called Southern Paver Systems, and eventually we'll be putting brick sidewalks out here here at the Project Star, and the company, our company that did them 25, 30 years ago whenever the first ones went down. So that's kind of what I do and my involvement. I have been kicking on how to become more involved with the city for a few years, and it seemed like opportunity and the proper time has come along. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve.
All right, well, welcome to the commission. I also wanted to introduce our new city planner, Jonathan Smith. You've been on board for what, 2 or 3, 4 weeks, not too long? And you come from the Gulf Coast, so just a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission. My name is Jonathan Smith, as you mentioned, and yes, I do. I'm from Baldwin County. I was the Planning and Building Director in Fairhope for 11 years. I've worked for the City of Gulf Shores, starting my career many years ago, 20 years ago, with the City of Loxley. Recently, I worked for the town of Pike Road for 5 years. So I'm not unfamiliar with the area at all. So anyway, my family and I are really excited to be here, and I am the new Planning and Development Director for Prattville, and I look forward to bringing a lot of beneficial things to our department and to all of the commissions, boards, and the council that we serve, and the residents, of course. So if y'all have any questions about me, please don't hesitate to ask, and obviously I'm always available, and all my information is online, I believe. Everything you need to know. But y'all have questions?
Not right now. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we just wanted a couple. I haven't worked with you long enough to know if you're as wordy as I am, but that was it. We appreciate it, and we look
got it
forward to
handled.
working with you.
Well, we've got a great staff, and I'm really excited to be here. Looking forward to it. My family as well. So thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, so we'll move on, and our next order of business is the minutes. You had an opportunity to review these in advance. I understand that we did make one amendment, and that's not in the copy that's in your notebook, but essentially that was to replace the one sentence relative to Mr. Ferguson being present but recusing himself. And it was just a rephrasing of that last sentence under the roll call to specify that he recused himself because he was the petitioner. So any questions about the minutes, or can I hear a motion for approval? We have a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion on the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes as amended, signify by raising your right hand. Did you raise yours?
I wasn't here, so I don't
Okay.
think I can.
Okay.
I think I have
So
to
we had
abstain.
5 approvals. So 5 and 1 abstention. All right, thank you. So are there any committee reports? None? And any old business? None. New business, we've got 2 items. One is unique. The first one, and along with my daughter and son-in-law, will be presenting this one as the petitioner. And the second one is a certificate of appropriateness for 250 South Northington Street. If the commission is so willing, I'd like to flip the order so that the Cowarts don't have to stay for what's going to be the longer presentation. You won't have to stay. We can free you up to go do that yard work.
That's what I'm here.
Yeah, all right. So is that okay with the commission?
I make a motion that we reorder it, so the item number 2 we handle first.
Okay, any second?
Second.
All right, we have that motion to reorder the agenda and flip the order of those 2 items. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor signify by raising your right hand. All right, and that passes unanimously. Okay, so, and Ms. Hudson, you're presenting this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So here we have just overall look at that property. So the applicant proposes to reconstruct the existing stairs and install new wooden handrails due to the current condition of the stairs. Please note that this will not be a like-for-like renovation, as the stairs will be rebuilt rather than repaired. The proposed color scheme will align with the existing aesthetic of this structure. Please note that this property was not listed in the surveys and considered non-contributing according to our resources. So here we have what they're proposing with those new stairs and handrails. Do y'all have any questions for me? Thank you.
All right, would the petitioner like to come to the podium, Mr. Cowart, and make any remarks? It's optional, but if you'd like to. Ms. Cowart?
Well, I guess if there's anything to say, the main reason, obviously, we're doing those are the wooden steps versus the concrete is just because that is just what you do to make it look. But we've been all over old towns and they do that. So, and also those steps, we had to have AFS come in and stabilize the porch. It was pulling away from the house. And when they did that, the steps pulled away from the porch. So that would give us support and improvement for it to hold the porch in place too, so we don't end up with issues with that, causing more issues for the foundation. So that was, and the person doing it is very, very good. So we feel good about what he can do, so. But that's really all, just make sure.
Okay. Any questions at this juncture?
I've got a question. I'm looking at the picture, I guess, of the kind of the proposed handrail, and my question is the intent to remove the concrete pillars or the CMUs? I got you. And then height-wise, are you adjusting the height of that handrail
A little bit, to be more consistent with where it needs
with the
to be.
handrails coming down? Fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We will now convene a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak relative to this petition? All right, seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. So is there any further discussion by the commission?
I think it looks great.
Thank you. All right, so if there are no questions, can I have a motion regarding this petition, this request for a certificate?
Yeah, I make a motion that we issue a certificate of appropriateness as submitted for 250 South Northington Street.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the request for a certificate of appropriateness for item number 1. And is there any further discussion on item number 1?
I agree with you that it looks so good. I mean, this AI, is this AI? Is this, how did they, who put that together?
AI for it, so we
It's
could get a
amazing.
visual of what it would, yes. And the handrails are gonna be great for support of older people to come and visit.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
You know, the pitch of the stairs too will be better. The other
Mhm.
ones are difficult to get up.
Mm-hmm. So they're designed by the contractor to meet the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did the drawing,
okay,
yes.
okay. And the materials are gonna be wood? I know we should have asked this before. Okay. All right, thank you.
All right. So we have a motion before us. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. And it looks like it passes unanimously. Item number 2, the original number 1, is a request for a certificate of appropriateness for a new construction residential at 105 Maple Street. And I am listed as the petitioner. This was in a state of flux because we were transferring the property to my son-in-law and daughter, Mitchell and Sarah Thornton. So if there's some element of confusion about who's the petitioner. On that note, I will be making the presentation, and in that light, I'm going to pass the gavel to our vice chair and let her conduct this portion of our commission meeting.
All right. Full disclosure, I forgot that I was going to have to do this part, so if I stumble over anything, bear with me. All right, so Joshua, go ahead.
So here we have the request for 105 Maple Street, new construction residential. Here's just an aerial view of it, right across from the Mill Apartments downtown. And then to the, I guess to the right would be Mr. Tom Miller's house. Here's some pictures of the lot. And then here's some surrounding, we got one residential, Mr. Miller's house, and then the Mill apartments, and then you got the Mason's meeting area. And then here's some elevations of the proposed home. And then we have a, this is just from a modeling brochure. But these are some of the things that they would like to add to the home. Some windows, doors, the style of the roof, correct? No. Okay. And then the railing will be similar to the Mill. And then they would also like to add a pickleball court, and a fountain. Yep. Any questions?
Okay, would the applicant like to come up and say, sorry, I was studying.
So thank you to the commission. I'll introduce briefly my daughter, Sarah Miller Thornton, and my son-in-law, Mitchell Thornton. Basically, we're looking at a new residential construction on the corner lot 105 Maple Street, adjacent to my present house. And we are, I think, eventually, hopefully, going to get the other daughter, Sarah's 1 or 2, on the other side of our house. That had been a lifelong sort of dream. And if you have some of the history, and I think this is a totally new commission. Ms. Davis was the last one when we went through this process with our current house at 115 Maple Street. But the corner lot and the construct of a house is just a bit more challenging when you look at the uniqueness of it. It's residential. It's always been zoned residential. In fact, it used to have a house on it. There was an old remnant sidewalk there from that house many, many years ago. And a little bit more history, I moved into our house. Skip Jones is our builder. He'll be our builder for this project on 105 on the corner. But when we moved into the house, I became kind of friends with the guy that owned the corner lot, Mr. Leninger, and ultimately that resulted in his selling the lot to me. We did not have possession of that lot until about 4 years ago, 2021, I think. And so that triggered some things that were, I think, very beneficial to the city and the citizenry. The city had been landlocked in terms of extending the pedestrian sidewalk over the creek because they didn't have possession of that sliver of land. So after we came to own it, we were able to donate that 10 feet, and then the city could continue that project. And that was the last portion of the loop, if you will. So, and we were happy to do that, but now, you know, with the fence that the city put up to keep people from cutting a corner across the lot, it also raises some questions. So I just want you to know that we've done a lot of brainstorming on all aspects of this house, including was it going to front bridge or front maple. When they put the sidewalk in with that transaction, with the donation, they actually did a curb cut, which faces the mill property, because at that time we didn't know and we wanted to cover our bases. We've decided it needs to face, you know, with this commission's approval, needs to face Maple Street. So that's going to be the orientation of what you would call the front of the house in terms of address. But since it's on a corner lot, the facade of it that looks like the front will face the mill property. So to accommodate that, you basically would come in off of Maple to park, you know, with the garage, and then a sidewalk will come around the front to the front of the house, the front porch. So when you look at the house itself, the challenge was, obviously, if you put a house like my current one or pick a house over in Hearthstone, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb when it's on one of four corners, where the other three buildings not only are historic, but they are, you know, mostly brick. There's metal roofs on the Masonic Lodge. There's metal across the street. There's a lot of squareness, rectangleness, you know, not a lot of different, I don't know what you call them, Christy, but different, you know, twists and turns.
Valleys and
Yeah, so you've got, you know, that piece of it. We, by design, made it one story. And looking at a metal roof, looking at mostly brick, and have brick samples here. And then we were going to look at, I guess that you would call it mostly rectangular. We were going to look at the windows, and here's a sample of those. The pictures that were being shown earlier were basically just the product brochure for the Forgent series. In no way is the house looking like that, so I didn't want that to throw you off. The house is going to be according to the elevations that, you know, are depicted on that one sketch. So it was to give you an idea of how the windows would look as well as the door. So doors are in this same series, and they will be on the front of the house facing the mill, and on the back porch facing the creek, there'll be 4-panel, the 2 center, a French door style, and then the side ones, all 4 of which will be full-length full-length panels of glass. So that's
So can
kind of,
you talk about the front door again. Is that the front door on the top left?
Yes, here, and that's technically the same, yes.
and then back, this is the back door towards the creek. And so you look right here, this is, it's at a little bit of an angle, but this is going to be facing ridge. So-
Okay.
So you said you come off Maple to park, correct?
Mhm.
So is the garage, the facade with the garage going to be facing Maple Street?
Yes.
This right here,
Mm-hmm.
that squares up with
To
Maple.
Maple.
And then you would have a walkway around to the front.
Do you have a site plan?
Skip, you got that? You got one? So he's gonna run to his truck and get one.
Okay, while we wait for that, do we have any other questions for the applicant right now?
Yeah, I would just add in, the notion about planning ahead on what you've, asked for it, and we've talked about this as a commission many times, go ahead and ask for things even though you may not end up putting them in. So that's the source of wanting to put in the proposal a fountain. And it obviously would be the smaller one. I don't know how much you know, but the fountain that we put in the roundabout and also the one in our front yard, we came before this commission. Those are really the kind of the medium, and the smaller one, with the one size we're looking at would be same as Fountain City Church coming down Main Street. Still that same product line, but a much smaller one. And the reason I don't have it spec'd out for you where it would go is some of those things are best determined as the lay of the land unfolds. The same thought was around a pickleball court. The space between the rear of the house and the creek is, we think, wide enough. And again, that would be determined on the final lay of the land. But it would be just the concrete pad while you got the concrete truck out there. And then, it's only, in fact, it's the only piece that's above the ground. It's just the net, with the 2 posts. So that was just a thought, because Mitchell and I have just recently gotten into pickleball, and like a lot of people have. So that's the reason to ask for those 2. The third thing I wanted to add to that list of potential but not quite sure yet is we might want to later put a gate in on Bridge Street, coming straight out the front door. So I just want to go ahead and add that as well. The last thing I would also cover with you is, and this played out with our own house, a lot of stuff revolves around the dog, okay? So our fencing, our secondary fencing, I think we ended up coming before this group twice, and we actually had a 3-month delay moving into our house after it was finished because of the dog fence issue. These guys have a almost year-old puppy who's a smaller one, and that leads to the question about fencing on the porch. And that's why you have this shots of the fence across the street on the mill. It would be a very similar fence with probably an opening where you would come out of the front door. So that, I think, is why I've got those 3 or 4 pictures. So we tried to pick up elements of the mill property. We tried to pick up elements of the Masonic Lodge, the brick, the metal roof, the square, rectangular lines. And I would be very interested in your feedback, your suggestions. I don't, again, none of you were here when we went through the process with our house, but I cannot sing the praises high enough for some of the suggestions we got. Especially with Kate Musgrove, with her designer background. So we made some major modifications, not major, but, you know, we added some windows and a couple other things. So I'd be very interested in what makes you comfortable and what suggestions you might have for us. So. Yeah, you can go.
Okay, great. Okay, so it's. Okay.
Okay, do we have any other questions for the applicant right now? Are we? Okay, you guys can have a seat for right now, and we'll go ahead and do public hearing. I will now open the public hearing. If anyone would like to speak for or against this project, please step forward.
Hi, I'm John Lee Finnegan, 211 Deer Trace. I haven't seen you guys in quite a while. I do want to put, when Dr. Miller was making his house, I had actually had some comments and stuff against it. And with all sincerity, when I saw the product drawn, I thought it was going to be more rustic than it is. It's a beautiful house, but it's, to me, more modern than, you know, an historic downtown. When I saw this, I looked at the packet, and I'm against it completely. I think it no more fits than the Man in the Moon in the historic district. I was surprised. I had seen the picture of the pickleball court, and I'm going, why are they showing a pickleball court? And I guess I didn't read everything. But no, I don't think it works. I think it's something that needs to be, you know, maybe in Glenbrook or all the other places. But for downtown, I just don't think it fits at all. I mean, I understand about the brick and everything, but it's too modern looking to me. It does not give the feel of an historic home. You know, granted, the mill is a brick building and the old brick building across the street. And also, the idea of seeing the garages off of Maple Street coming in, you're coming into the mill, and here you'll have the garage coming in. And I know basically it'll fit with the front will fit Bridge Street. But I just wanted to let you know that I do not think that it fits one bit down in that spot. You know, in fact, I was going to say, why didn't they move it over to the other spot on the other side where the trees are? But now I hear he says he wants to, maybe for his other daughter, I believe. Yeah, for the other daughter. But no, I'm just totally against it. I just don't think it fits one bit.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for or against this project? No, hearing none, I will now close the public hearing. And I will now open everything up for discussion amongst our members.
Can we talk a little bit more about the site plan and the setbacks? Can you explain that a little bit more to me? I'm looking, and the reason is because it is a little bit, it does appear to be more like something that you would see in my new neighborhood than I would expect downtown, and I'm just trying to understand how we got there based on this.
Yeah, and I guess it's you know, glass half full, glass half. I don't know what the analogy is. We thought we were making an effort to more normalize it for that location than what's going to be appropriate for the other side of our house. You've got, you know, the Castaldas across from us, a very historic, you know, just A+ plus, location next to the Masonic Lodge. So to put a house like mine that I see more in line with when you talk about what fits in Hearthstone, next to those three buildings would be, so it was, I guess, we're talking about the same thing, and we thought a good effort to do that, that basically is maybe not as far down that spectrum as what you are more comfortable with. I mean, the house is squared off, there's no frills, there's no what I call foo-foo stuff, the gables, the whatever you want to call them. It's got, a very plain roof. It's got, short of doing it just like the Masonic Lodge, which is with no porches and no anything, I don't know how to get there except to take the porches off. I don't know what, our guidelines say you're not supposed to mimic historic, so I don't know how to get to the point that y'all are,
Yeah, I think,
interested in.
I think it's in the, this, I understand kind of where you can, what you were trying to accomplish with focusing on those specific buildings. And to me, I think now that I see it's a one-story, I guess in my mind, it was always a two-story building. And so, that made sense, but now that I think it is more like a 1.5, I don't know, 1.5 or a 1-story, then maybe it would be more appropriate to even reference your house or the one that the residence that's across the street, the white residence. And it's, in our guidelines, it talks about floor-to-floor heights, foundation heights, window locations and window proportions, because you're never going to get the proportion of this house with the proportion of that Masonic Lodge. It's because it's a 1-story, so even the roof is a little bigger, even on this one, I think, than the Masonic Lodge. But do you see what I'm saying? You're a squat on that, so the proportions of it aren't going to match. So you're going to be better off to go, because you're only doing because this is a 1-story house, more mimicking the White House that is across the street and trying to match the proportions of what is specifically the floor to floor, the foundation, the window locations. And then I'm trying to figure out if there was a way that you could move so that you wouldn't see the garage from that front. A lot of times the garages in the historic houses, they're next to, I don't know with this site if that was a possibility, they're separate structure. So I don't know. I don't want to get too much into design.
And we thought about, you got a garage, that is facing Maple Street, but the depth of the lot from Bridge to come in that way and then turn into a garage is challenging. There's a lot of challenging stuff. Originally it was a very, very small footprint on the house that sat here, and that's the way a lot of them were. So there were a lot of challenges trying to get to a point that we felt like was sort of a marriage. And again, I applaud your comments. We were moving down that road. We just moved so far in terms of trying to make it what I would call a very simple presentation, squared up, no whatever.
Well, I was just going to comment in regards to the garage placement. Initially, I was like, man, it's on the front of Maple Street. But looking at it and studying it a little bit more, your creek front, there's probably, a dozen houses that have the luxury of being on the creek. And that'd be like the equivalent of putting your garage on the lakeside or the beachside type deal. So from that aspect, I think, that would definitely I appreciate the amount of thought that's been put in it to try to not steal from the history as the guidelines say, but at least, do the pacing of buildings around it.
And I'll say it's a difficult line to walk between not wanting to completely just mimic history like we talk about and finding something that will fit in. I also don't love the garage being on Maple Street, but I don't know how you would. It's times like these where I wish we could have like a subcommittee that gets together with applicants for stuff like this and kind of helps hash things out before it gets here. 'Cause yeah, it's difficult, and I think part of it is it's gone so plain that it does kind of look like one of those, builder, developer, neighborhoods that just has the kind of copy and paste for all the different homes. So, but I get what you're trying to do. And I do think your house, Dr. Miller, does a good job of that calling to historic homes without completely copying them and kind of adding some elements that are more modern. I think it does a good job of that, and I think the setbacks are really nice and all that, and I get that this lot is a lot more challenging. So, I don't know where we...
Maybe table one. I don't really know either, because I don't want to say it's completely, can it be, I think it can be better, but I don't know, if we're looking, have you already gotten it approved by the planning? Is that?
No, because that would have been premature, because this has got to happen before, yeah.
Is there a way, do we know, can we do like a subcommittee or something? Is that legal?
Yeah, the HPC can establish the subcommittee to, give recommendations. And if you have an issue with the garage and its placement, and I would say that is a bit unique to see in a historic district. My thoughts on this, I feel like they are trying their best, really to embrace the surrounding architectural features and trying to remain in spirit, as far as the ordinance that we have and the guidelines, the regulatory provisions. But yes, a subcommittee could be formed by the commission, and typically that would entail 3-4 people, however many folks the commission would like to appoint for that subcommittee. It wouldn't be obviously a legislative body of any sort. It would just be an advisement body. They would be under advisory capacity, I would say.
Is that hardy board, is that close to the color on your house? That is a little different.
No, that's the one that's not the color you're gonna see. This
Okay.
is to be painted, so that would be, still we hadn't picked out that paint yet.
I got you.
And that might, I don't know, that might help you that this body doesn't regulate color.
Right.
It's real odd, but we don't regulate color, so.
I was just thinking about your efforts to make all this work in the location there. So if you come down the street, there's a mill on one side, there's a house on the other. I appreciate the brick samples. I don't, from that standpoint, you're coming down the street, there's a Masonic Lodge. All those things are gonna look consistent, including shape and all like you mentioned. So, I feel you. I appreciate the effort that's
Yeah.
gone into it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, and I appreciate those comments. It is a very unique lot, and we were blessed to be able to buy it. That just kind of really was a blessing, for lack of a better word. And I knew this wasn't going to be easy because it is so unique and challenging.
Well, you
So,
have 3 front facades, so
yeah.
there's no place to hide the less the less ideal things like the garage that we need, but
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the neighbor won't complain, the next door neighbor, so.
okay, well, how would we like to proceed? I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve a certificate of appropriateness for 105 Maple Street as submitted.
Is there any discussion?
I guess from a discussion standpoint, it's kind of, it's tough without, I think, one of the commissioners made a comment of not getting in the design process. As far as, hey, we've got the guidelines, as we've already stated, that this is a very difficult property with how it's laid out. And anyways, I appreciate your efforts in trying to do all the things that you're doing in order to try to make it fit in. And anyways, I say that to say, no, that's all I want to say.
Can I say? Just to talk about the garage, the depth of the lot, and without really skinnying the house, you know, and to come, say, between my current house and this corner lot, and then have room to turn in and back up, you know, just that was the thinking in terms of where we're gonna. And the major breadth of it faces Bridge Street, which is the longer dimension of the house. So we purposefully chose not to use that curb cut for the drive to come in and put the garage facing Bridge Street. You know, that was the main reason. And there were a couple of other secondary reasons, but it was, you know, I'm at the wheel of whatever, and I'm not going to be upset with whatever direction this commission goes. I've been on the other side, as you know, but I would tell you that it's extremely challenging to make it work. And we just knew that a house, I didn't feel like my house would look good on that corner with those other three properties. And, you know, when you look at the other one across between the mill and Masonic Lodge, that one is to be determined. I'm not sure long range what they're going to, I'm sure they won't, you know, demolish it, but, I mean, should never say I'm sure about anything, but it's, you know, it's one of three that just, I guess, laid down some, what I would call maybe parameters or ground rules or boundaries for how we move through this process.
Not, it doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to change that much, but the front is there's not a porch on the front. There could be a small porch on the front. There could be a small overhang in front of the garage. There could be the finished floor seems a little low. Maybe it's not compared to what yours is. It's difficult to tell. But in historic homes, there's a foundation. There used to be traditional foundations. I mean, obviously, even when you're looking at Sandy and Chas's house, it has 4 steps. I don't know what it was this time, but there's like half a step on this one, and that can be done with elevated foundations. You know, obviously, you're on the creek. You don't want it flooding in your house. I mean, there's rules about those things, but also you want to look at that. Just the image of it going up makes a big difference. You know what those houses at the other end of the street look like, how you just slide into them. They were built in the 70s, and there's no foundation at all. I think you want to look at, and that's specifically in our guidelines, where it talks about the foundation heights. So I would look there. I think you could make a lot of improvements there if we're not gonna just focus on, okay, we've gotta have this, garage here. Okay, that's fine, but there's a lot of other places, a little small tweaks that aren't gonna be huge impact to your budget that you can make big improvements to soften the front facade, the side facade, and just make it fit into the residential part of the neighborhood a little more. And just try to think of that it is a residence, not just the Masonic Lodge. Like, if you want to build the Masonic Lodge and duplicate that, fine, but this is not what we're doing here, because it's a one-story, and the pitch isn't the same, so.
Yeah, I think I know this isn't like a thing of we would rather, but I almost think it would have made more sense, thinking about it, to compare it to the other historic houses on that little section right before you get to Pletcher, rather than the Masonic Lodge and the mill, because it is a residential structure. So we should really be comparing it to those other residential structures there instead of the commercial and industrial.
Yeah, I mean, I may not, I'm talking about the White House. I don't think they're gonna tear that White House down, the one that's across from your house. Okay, that's the
Because all
house.
those, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Please don't build the Masonic Lodge duplicate. My opinion is it looks like it's made out of Legos, but not your proposal, but the Masonic Lodge. I think I made that with Legos when I was 10.
Well, he'd have a garage on the Masonic Lodge if he built. Is your house on a slab? That's what.
Is there any further discussion? Because we do have a motion and a second on the floor. All right, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed by like sign. And that passed 3-2, correct? Okay. Well, so there will be a certificate of appropriateness issued, and I guess I will hand these reins back over to Dr. Miller. Unless you want me to wrap up.
Well, as the petitioner, can I create an opportunity to get more granular on your, suggestions?
Let's see, so. Yeah, I know. I mean, a porch at the front, I think would be a small porch, even if it's, obviously you've got the grand porches in the back that are really nice, but to soften it, I would just suggest maybe a porch at a front porch over your entrance, and I'm trying to figure out.
You're talking about on the Maple Street facade?
And if I interject here, I guess in order to solve the porch issue, you would pull essentially another gable similar to the garage gable that covers the front, and then you'd probably have to alternate those windows.
No, you could just pull the gable.
Across the street, I mean, it's just a slope.
Hmm.
You can just slope it out. If you look
Oh, yeah,
across
like
the
a shed,
street,
a shed porch?
you've just got shed porches at the houses across the street that you could just shed a porch. Or you could pull that gable all the way.
Yeah, I think you're gonna run into design issues with that, you've got a gable that runs all the way back to the front door. So you've either got to pull another, anyways, we're getting into that design world.
Yeah.
I would suggest a front porch. I'm not gonna suggest how to roof it, but, and just something to soften it. It could be,
So maybe we could talk later, because the business is done, so that would be, all right, well, thank you.
Okay, Well, that concludes, oh, we have expedited reviews. Do we want to go over those real quick? Or do we need to? We had 2 expedited reviews, an awning and a deck in the rear. Okay. Do we have anything else we needed to cover? All right. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I would like to just ask, and where was the rule made that the packet only has to be put online the day before the meeting? You know, because I'm used to at least seeing it by Monday.
Is there a rule that it has to be posted? Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think it's yeah.
Yeah, because all the other times, in fact, it's been a lot of times, even the week before, and at least it's been on the Monday before the Thursday meeting. But getting it's bad enough we have to get the CC packet the day before the CC meeting. But, you know, I was just wondering if that's a set rule, or can it be put on earlier? Because there's a lot to look through. I mean,
So just to make sure, it was posted later than usual this time?
oh, yeah,
or-
it was posted yesterday.
Okay.
And usually, like I said, I'm used to it when I did look at it and come to you guys, that it sometimes was the week before, or, you know, at least Thursday, Friday, or at least that Monday before the Thursday meeting. And that gives you time, you know, to look over things because, you know, and review, et cetera. And
Yeah.
I'm just curious if that's set in stone, or is it possible to at least get it on Monday? You know,
Yeah,
because
and
I
I-
think they cut off 30 days before. Don't they have to have stuff 30 days in before the meeting? So I think that would give you plenty of time.
Yeah, and I'll, because earlier is better than later when you're a citizen reviewing stuff and, you know, so, but, I mean, this is in the city planner domain, but if you want to make any comments, but that would be.
Yes, sir. You know, we'll get this out as early as possible. I don't believe there is there is a provision that requires us to get it out at a certain time. I'm not sure about that. I'm going to have to research the ordinances and everything that establishes all of those requirements. But we will make every effort to get it out earlier when possible.
Yeah, because it has been. It has been. And-
Okay.
and Like I said,
Well-
it's bad enough that the CC is one day before.
Well, we do have a 30-day review timeline, and 30 days may seem like a long time, but it's not at all, especially when you have comments going back and forth. If there's a lot of dialogue between our department, the designer of the project, the applicant, the owner, you know, whatever, it can get to where it takes a lot more time. And in those cases where it's going to need more time, we'll likely recommend an item be tabled because if we're not ready, we're not going to bring anything to you, you know, that isn't ready. So that's what we would recommend. But we will make every effort to get it out earlier than this previous
Yeah, one
packet
day
was
before,
gotten.
just to
That
give you a
was
lot of time.
posted.
Okay.
If
Okay.
that's been our.
I
Thank
our-
appreciate
you.
it.
And I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
Thanks
no,
for-
I appreciate it. Okay,
And
thank
thanks for
you.
your comments as well. I don't think you passed the gavel back, so did you?
I mean, I physically have.
Okay, here we go. I got the gavel. All right, is there, and you did we do the expedited review?
We just kind of said that they were there.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead, if there's not any miscellaneous stuff, nothing else? All right, then I'll call the meeting adjourned.
Just make it look like that.
Are you serious? Are you serious? I thought y'all would put that down in a minute.
I think